All right, good evening, everybody. It is Tuesday, June 14th, 6 o'clock, and I will open the first public hearing. Thomas Weir is requesting an amendment to the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. The petitioner requests that the map be amended to change the land use designation of an approximately 5.9 acre parcel land identified as parcel number 0700628, property address of 3020 Lake Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494, changing from commercial to agriculture. I'll ask 3 times anybody speaking for, then I'll ask 3 times anybody speaking against, and then we will close that public hearing. So, number 1, anybody speaking for? Second time, anybody speaking for?
I can speak for it.
Okay. Want to stand?
I'm Tom, the person that wants it done, and
Okay.
we just want to raise some small farm animals. It is nothing major, no zoo animals, no exotic pets, nothing like that. And there is agricultural stuff butting up to the back of our property, so it ain't like it's out of place. Most people I talked to didn't even realize that it was going commercial. They thought it was agriculture. It is not by one house, I'm sorry. One house that's beside the bar on 32nd Street that would be affected. Otherwise, there's no other house adjoining the property.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask a 3rd time, anybody speaking for? Now I'll ask 3 times, anybody speaking against, time 1? 2nd time, anybody speaking against? 3rd time, anybody speaking against? Hearing none, we will close that public hearing. 6:02. We will open the 2nd public hearing. Thomas Weir would like to rezone approximately a 5.9 acre parcel of land identified as parcel number 0700628, property address 3020 Lake Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494, from B1 general commercial to A agriculture. Again, I'll ask 3 times anybody speaking for, and then 3 times anybody speaking against. Time 1, anybody speaking for this? 2nd time, anybody speaking for this? 3rd time, anybody speaking for this? 1st time, anybody speaking against this? 2nd time, anybody speaking against? 3rd time, anybody speaking against? Hearing none, we will close that public hearing at 6:02. All right. Then we will move on to normal business. We will start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Drinkwine, I will ask you to start. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. I apologize, I probably take up most of the flag for the people behind me, but. All right, I'll approve the agenda. Anybody got any questions on the agenda? No? Okay, moving along. Approve minutes of the May 10th, 2022 Town Board meeting. Anybody have any questions, comments, corrections?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Andy makes a motion, Andy second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion. Public comment. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with public comment totaling a total of 30 minutes. Anybody wishing to make public comment?
I do.
Sir.
Jason Weicker, 6421 Batavia Avenue. Here tonight for the Edgewood Acres Subdivision. Just a reminder to the board, from what happened last year, I think you did a great job with getting the system initially unplugged. We had also asked for a maintenance plan or some type of plan for maintaining the system moving forward, and it seems like we had some good traction with that, and then we had stalled in the last several months. So I'd like to bring that to the forefront, whether it's the board here or a committee, to go back and discuss again. I do have the letter that I brought with for everybody to review, go over, look at. Just showing that we had some proof that the system was installed by the town, and and it used to be maintained by the town. It's just not maintained anymore, so that's what we were asking for, to look at it again and see what type of maintenance we could possibly do. Not looking at a full-blown new system, just maintaining what's there so we don't have an issue like we did last fall.
Would this be a water issue backup? I haven't heard about it before.
It's just public comments, sir, sorry.
No
It's,
questions.
You just have,
Can't
nope, can't ask
question
questions, can't answer questions,
No.
so, sorry.
Would you like this now, later?
I'll probably have you give it to Nick after the meeting.
After
Yeah.
All right.
Anybody else care to comment? Sir, Keith?
I'd like to know what the town, I'm Keith Lukey, 6511 Batavia Avenue. The last town board meeting when I was not allowed to be in this room because there was enough, how are you gonna resolve those kinds of situations in the future when you have a contentious issue like UTVs and ATVs? I just think the 5 Ps are in place. Previous prior planning prevents a poor performance, and that was a poor performance right here. It was very unacceptable, and you couldn't move it to the fire station. There's no reason that couldn't have been. Sign on the door saying that meeting is adjourned and put at the fire station would have solved the whole dilemma, but now you created, and I don't know how you're gonna handle it, but I wish you'd deal with it better. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yep.
Barbara Randorf, 6610 Batavia Avenue. I would like to echo Mr. Weikart's comments. I would also like to state that 3 weeks ago, I sent an email to the board asking some questions in regard to the Edgewood Acres situation, and only one person on the board had the common courtesy to acknowledge receipt of that email. I did not get my questions answered. I was under the impression you were supposed to email the board when you had questions, and I'm just wondering how long we're expected to wait for replies to those questions. And I would also appreciate an update on the Edgewood Acres subdivision and the Lambert Lee report.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board? Hearing none, we will move on. Monthly reports, Bob from the fire wasn't here to do the fire report and the safety report. I'll read through it. We're currently staffed with 45 fire EMS members, 5 are non-structural firefighters, and 7 EMS only members. Total of 20 members trained to do EMS. We are always looking for motivated individuals to fire and EMS. If you are interested in our department for fire or EMS, please stop by the fire station or contact the fire department, 715-424-1815 or 715-213-2961. Request for service information. Since the last report to the board, the department has responded to 67 calls for service consisting of the following: 51 EMS, 16 fire, 13 in Grand Rapids, 3 in Saratoga, none in Grant. 1 structure alarm, 0 mutual aid, 3 false alarms, 5 MVA, motor vehicle accidents, thank you, 2 gas leaks, 2 wildland brush, 1 carbon monoxide, 1 landing zone, and 1 search. Training information. Monthly department training consisted of the following: EMS, longboarding, spinal immobilization and helmet removal, fire, pumping foam, and county concrete fill site. Meeting information: the department held or attended the following meetings. Monthly department meeting 1, a department officer meeting, and 3 training meetings. Public relation, we hosted a 2-day blood drive with University of Wisconsin. Smoke detector program, 3 homes this month, 4 signs for the address sign program. And I know that they had their annual party on Friday night. I was there, they had a pretty decent turnout. I haven't heard any final numbers. So, but for anybody who did attend for that, I'll thank you on their behalf. Alrighty, we will move to the police department. Mel.
Okay, good evening, everyone. For May of 2022, the Grand Rapids Police Department handled 368 calls for service. That compares to 319 calls for service for the month of May of 2021. That's about a 15.3 7% increase in calls. And again, the town board members have a breakdown of those calls for service. The police department issued 28 traffic citations, 9 municipal ordinance citations, and 43 written warnings for the month of May. On May 6, 2022, our new 2021 Ford Explorer Hybrid patrol vehicle was completed, put into service. The 2015 Ford Explorer has been taken out of service for patrol duties, but it's going to be utilized as a town vehicle going forward. The remaining vehicles in the department are doing well outside of normal preventive maintenance and minor repairs. On May 7th, the Grand Rapids Police Department, in cooperation with the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department, Grand Rapids Lions Club, the Wisconsin Rapids Freemasons Lodge number 128, the Grand Rapids and the Wisconsin Rapids Auxiliary Police conducted a bike rodeo at the Grand Rapids Lions Club. All area children grades K through 6 were eligible to attend. They tested their riding skills on the bike rodeo course and learned bike safety essentials. Free helmet fittings and bike safety inspections were also provided. On May 13th, the Grand Rapids Auxiliary Police provided overnight security at Mid-State Technical College for the spring graduation ceremony. On May 14th, they assisted with overnight protection of the stage and equipment that was set up for the outdoor event. On May 16th and 17th, I attended peer support training at Mid-State Technical College, which was sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Justice Training and Standards. The mission of peer support is to provide a confidential resource to emergency services employees, first responders, and their family members who are experiencing overwhelming personal and occupational stressors. The state is looking at going to regional peer support teams to service specifically smaller agencies like ourselves, Port Edwards, Nakusa, so that we have access to this valuable resource. All officers of the Grand Rapids Police Department conducted tactical rifle qualifications at the Wisconsin Rapids Police Department range on May 18th and 19th. Officers completed the tactical rifle qualification requirements as prescribed by the Wisconsin Department of Justice Training Standard Bureau. That was also the final step for the long gun refresh that we've been going through, and so all those new long guns are now in service in the squads. On May 18th, I was the guest speaker for the Basic Recruit Academy number 35 graduation at Mid-State Technical College. It was an honor to be asked to be the guest speaker for the ceremony. There was a total of 13 new recruits that completed the 720 hours basic recruit training to begin their career in law enforcement. They were reminded that this is not the end of their training, but only the beginning of their continuing education and training is going to be important throughout their career in law enforcement. Wanted to give you all an update on the drug take-back event that was held in April. Just a reminder, we collected 94 pounds of unused pharmaceuticals at the Pick and Save collection site in Wisconsin Rapids on the day of the event between 10 and 2. And then we also collected 80 pounds right here at our drop site here in the front office. Wisconsin led the nation with over 58,551 pounds. That's over 29 tons of unused pharmaceuticals. This year, Texas was second with 52,806, and California was third at 38,626. It's always Wisconsin, Texas, California always seem to be the top three in the nation for those types of drug take-back events. And again, these are normally held twice a year. Just a few more stats here. Wisconsin
had the second overall participation for law enforcement agencies in the country. Ohio had 266, Wisconsin had 252. The total collection sites, Wisconsin, again, was second, behind Ohio, 313, and Wisconsin had 294. And of course, I already gave you the amount for Wisconsin collected, highest in the nation. The nation as a whole, 360 tons of pharmaceuticals. And then they also come out with total throughout these take-back events going back throughout the years. But pretty impressive that, once again, Wisconsin leads the country in these take-back events. It just shows I think the main thing is the participation by law enforcement and health departments and everybody involved that really gets the word out and makes it a worthwhile event here in Wisconsin. And once again, if you ever want to talk, feel free to stop by my office anytime. Any questions?
So this amount is 29 tons, that's one event that happens twice a year, or is this cumulative?
That's cumulative since the last one. The fall take-back event is normally, I think, in September. And so those totals that you're seeing are from the last take-back event up to. We all have, there's several collection sites across the Wood County here.
Right, yep.
And then we have special events on the day that we collect. So that's a cumulative amount that was collected since the last take-back event in September. Still pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something to be proud
What
of or
kind
not.
of, was there, did you look at what, was there narcotics? The amount difference, does it say anything about that, or, I mean, was it aspirins, or?
It was all of that.
That's why I was wondering if they're showing a ratio at all.
No.
Okay.
That would be, people
It'd
show
be
up
hard to
with,
do, I
yeah,
know. I understand.
with bags.
I was just
We
curious.
prefer they show up and have the the pills or whatever in a Ziploc bag, so we don't have to deal with the containers.
Okay.
Then we just put that in a box, and then that is wrapped up and properly packaged, and then taken up to Wausau, the DEA office, and then Wausau takes it someplace to be properly destroyed. And there's only a couple of sites throughout the country where that are authorized to incinerate those types of
Awesome program, it'd just be nice, not to, I understand the issue with going through it, and I'm glad that they don't get all involved with that, but it would be kind of interesting to know the difference in the narcotics and everything that go through there or not.
So,
Thank you, sir.
all right, thank you.
Jewel, first meeting as treasurer.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, for the month of May, the current receipts were $41,286.53. Total disbursements were $190,768.35. The cash on hand at the end of the month was $91,309.39 in checking, $1,174,943.45 in the repo account, and $327,259.53 in the money market account. There's $280,262.91 in the ARPA account, and $126.29 in the tax account, for a total of $1,873,901.57.
Questions?
Good job.
Thank you, Jewel. Well done. All right, moving on. Consideration and possible action on ordinance 2022-101, proposed comprehensive plan land use classification change from B1 general commercial to A agriculture, described as approximately 5.9 acres, parcel number 0700628 at 3020 Lake Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494.
Mr. Chairman, just one comment.
Yes, sir.
Related to both numbers 6 and 7,
Yeah.
is that the Plan Commission did review this application at its meeting on June 13th, 2022, after which the Plan Commission did adopt Resolution 2022-08, recommending both the comprehensive plan, future land use map amendment, and the rezone on the property.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution as presented.
Bill,
Second.
The ordinance, sorry,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay.
the ordinance, yeah. Bill Clinton, makes Andy, you second?
Yep.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to make a comment from the Plan Commission meeting. People may wonder why it was originally zoned as commercial. Years ago, Lake Avenue, that used to be one of the main streets going through Wisconsin or Grand Rapids. So that would have, back in the day, make very good sense to have commercial property coming off the main street. With the rerouting of the expressway and that, going back to agricultural, which it was previous to going to commercial, of course, it's just reverting back. And we also reviewed and took a look at it. We, as a committee or a commission, thought that we weren't doing any spot zoning, which is, something you don't want to do in the town. So we reviewed it and all of us concurred that it was a good move.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion passed. Number 7, consideration of possible action on resolution number 2022-09. Thomas Weir would like to rezone an approximate 5.9 acre parcel 0700628 at 3020 Lake Avenue, Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin 54494 from B1 general commercial to A agriculture.
I'll make that motion.
Patty makes a motion, do I have a second? Andy makes a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Number 8, consideration and possible action on event permit for Central Wisconsin Car Cruise, Inc. on August 6th, 2022.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve, and it's very well laid out here.
I'll second.
Bill makes a motion, Amber seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Looking forward to it. Number 9, consideration and possible action on the Economic Development Committee recommendation to install chain link fence on the railroad right-of-way path. This is for that bike path, $5,250.
Where exactly is that being located then?
It's basically right behind the lines where the snowmobile trail breaks off to the south.
Yes. Okay.
There's
Where
that.
Water and Light is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was part of the agreement, that we had to put a fence in order to continue with the trail. So this is just coming back with that recommendation from April of last year. We got the fence quote and are able to move forward.
So are they able to do, does American Fence Company then take care of like the Diggers Hotline? Or are we responsible for that prior to their installment? Do you know who handles that
I would
part?
assume that they would do that if they're putting the poles and stuff in
I
for the
would
fence. I
think
would
so,
assume that
but-
they do that. They
okay.
come in.
I would just say that it says it on the bottom. It's the
Oh, did I miss
customer's
that?
responsibility to locate, so we would have to call Diggers and get them all there.
Okay.
Great. Oh, I see. Number 2 in the fine print.
Leave it to the attorney to see that.
Thank you for catching the fine print.
Catch. All right, yeah, so I will make sure that if this passes, I'll make sure that the Public Works guys
Thank you.
take care of
So
that.
I have a question on that. Where in your minutes does it say that you're going to do that? And the price, how was that obtained?
Yep, so in the April 2021, correct, April 2021 minutes said that once we got a quote, we would come back to this board. And so that was on hold until we got the seed committee funding. So that funding came through, and so this is fully covered through that funding. And Rick has been working with them to get a quote for exact location. Water and Light's been part of it as well, so that everything's up to par with what was stated in the agreement.
So this fence is going to be put up with the gate, correct?
Yep.
With the gate. And it's to protect that power station up there so people can't wander onto it?
Right, and then in the winter, it'll be open for the snowmobiles. That was all agreed upon by the Snowmobile Club, Water and Light, City of Wisconsin Rapids, and us.
So it's so people can't take their snowmobiles and walk up to the power station?
Well, the
Is that
snowmobiles,
correct?
it'll
Is
be
that where
open.
that fence
It'll be
is
open
going?
in the winter for snowmobiles because they will take their trail. It's up there during the summer for the trail so that people know they stay on the trail, that they don't go off in that direction where the snowmobile trail goes. And that was part of that agreement with the city, that we had to put that up in order to open that.
I don't see how it can be open for snowmobiles, but it can't be open for people walking.
It's open in the winter for a groomed path that the
Right.
Snowmobile Club has an agreement with them. It's closed as a bike path and a walking path, so people don't use that on that. Otherwise,
Because we maintain it in the summer, that trail. In the winter, that's up to the snowmobile thing.
do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the installation of the fence through American Fence Company.
Do we have a second? I'll second it. Any more discussion? I can't take it, no. You can make there's a second public comment at the end that you can say something at them, but right now we can't, so. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Those opposed. Consideration and possible action on a personnel committee recommendation to add a full-time police officer position.
So I provided some calculations on here, but Mel, if you wanna speak to kind of the background of this.
Sure. I brought this topic up with the Personnel Committee last month. Trying to maintain a part-time staff has become totally unsustainable, okay? In today's world, especially in law enforcement, you look at agencies not only in Wisconsin or in Southwood County here, Wisconsin, across the nation, departments, staffing levels are way down. And when you're competing, trying to fill part-time positions, and you have all these full-time positions open, and anybody that's worth anything in this profession, they're going to be able to find a law enforcement position full-time pretty much anywhere in the country, okay? There are so many incentives out there now that agencies, especially larger agencies, are using to recruit qualified law enforcement. Alaska, they will pay your relocation expenses to go up to Alaska and work. Chicago PD is going to the Marine Corps base, Camp Pendleton, and recruiting at their discharge center, their out processing center, trying to recruit Marines getting out of the Marine Corps to fill their positions, okay? There's incentive signing bonuses in the tens of thousands
from different agencies all across across the country, trying to recruit people to come and work for them. I've seen some as high as 25,000, okay? A lot of those recruitment bonuses depend on experience and things like that, and when you're competing against that type of shortage of manpower across the country, trying to get and maintain a qualified part-time staff to fill vacancies, to fill shifts here, while our full-time takes their time off that they get throughout the year, it's just not going to happen. We train them. The last go-around that we had 2 officers, we got one through training, and within a couple days he was hired full-time here in Wood County. Another officer, he was completed training about the same time. He was able to fill a few shifts for us the end of last year, and I think up through maybe the middle of March this year, and then he was full-time outside the county. So we're spending a lot of money and basically getting no return, because if they're qualified and they're good, and once we have them trained, they're gone to a full-time position, which is pretty much always the case. So dumping town money down this rabbit hole and getting nothing in return is, I don't think that the town wants that, okay? If we go to and hire one full-time position, then that individual will be hired with the understanding that they will bounce around a lot. Sergeant Drinkwine and myself did some looking, and it's really about 5.5, maybe 6 months out of the year where we have a high volume of vacations, okay? So that person for that time would be bouncing around a little bit, filling those vacant shifts where the other full-time officers are taking their vacation, okay? That added car, when he's not filling a shift, would be put on a power shift. Our initial plan would be to create a power car that would work from noon until midnight, typically the busiest times, especially during the summer, and it would give us extra patrol on the streets for traffic patrol, extra patrol for events in town. It would also free up a car for when we have a call that requires, or we're dealing with an individual that's having a mental health crisis, and they have to do an emergency detention on him. Many times we have to sit with that. They have to be medically cleared at Riverview Hospital. When that is needed, a lot of times our officer will have to sit down there. If that individual is uncooperative or not being a little bit out of control maybe, they require that we sit down there. That takes an officer off of the street, that one officer that we have on the street if it's at night, and we don't have any coverage. With this flexible power shift, that would help deal with those types of situations where we have an officer tied up for an extended period of time, whether it be a mental health crisis, maybe a bad accident, a drunk driver possibly. All those situations that take time to investigate and takes time for that officer dealing from off the street. That way we have that additional asset to help cover. It's Amber put together, and I think all the board members have it, of what it would cost to hire, and Currently, with our current funds available in the part-time wages and also the part-time uniform allowance, we can pretty easily cover the rest of this year with, as far as that, handling that extra full-time person, even with benefits, when you factor in the benefits. Next year, I know there's a concern, what do we do next year? Okay, well, you still have that. This year we budgeted $30,000 for part-time wages, okay? So that's another $30,000 that would go back in. You have that part-time uniform allowance that would go away because we're totally getting rid of any part-time line items that in our budget. The other thing is that, and we saw this last year, our full-time overtime rates will go down because we have that extra person that will now be able to fill shifts. And as we found out the end of last year and so far this year, when you have to fill shifts with full-time at the overtime rate, it kind of blows my full-time overtime rate out of the water. So we definitely will have some savings there that, and it'll become more, I think, manageable from a budgeting standpoint to where, we can set whatever $12,000, and it would be a lot easier to stay within that limit. When we have to fill shifts with full-time officers now at the overtime rate because we don't have a part-time staff, which we don't have right now. We have people on the books, but they can't fill shifts because they're still on their probationary period at their new agency, or they have schedule conflicts that, they can't fill shifts for us. So that's why I took this to the Personnel Committee to, let's quit wasting money and put that money to good use and for the residents here in Grand Rapids.
There were a couple things in the Personnel Committee that Mel had brought up. One being that the full-time budget has been used a little over 50% of memory serves so far this year. And the part-time budget was used less than 15%. What was my number? I'm sorry.
What we've used so far?
Yeah. No, just to the part-time.
It's not on this.
So 4,000, it's on the second
Chairman,
page.
speak up, that air conditioning unit is affecting my
Oh,
hearing aid.
sorry, sure. Okay, yeah, sorry, on the back you can see, we had budgeted for part-time 32, 4,000 of it has been spent
Right.
on part-time. So reason being, they have a very hard time getting part-time officers. So he's blowing through his normal budget pretty fast in overtime. And the other thing, with Mel alluded to training, Grand Rapids since 2013 has spent $79,745.52 just in wages to train officers. We have 3 of those officers that stayed here. Those 3 officers that we're getting the benefit of cost the town $11,500 in training. So we've spent $68,500 of the town's money that's just gone. Somebody else is able to utilize that. So I know that things are tough. I'm worried about officer fatigue, getting burnt out, and I'm worried about being poached, because obviously what our guys train here are officers that people want. So those are a couple things that came out of the Personnel Committee that I wanted to bring up.
Okay, may I have an opportunity to discuss my handout?
Yes.
Thank you.
You may have an opportunity.
Thank you. So when we received our packets, there wasn't this information that was supplied. So I myself, like normal, investigate and look into you know, I didn't have any numbers to look at and research. I'm one that always researched. So I put together a packet for the board here, and I went back from 2013 to 2022, which of course 2022, we don't have all the figures yet because it's not, the year has not ended. But my categories that I researched were the calls, the population, the amount of money we've spent in public safety, which was a little bit misleading because I had fire department numbers in there also. But when I did pull that, it was quite interesting because of the fact that Grand Rapids Town Board has backed the fire department. We've tried to give everything that that they have requested. I know this past budget, we gave pretty much everything that was requested. Don't you agree, Mel?
Overall, I think so,
Yeah, your cars and guns and, you know, whatever else that you needed.
But not all of that was out of the budget. Some of that was ARPA money.
Right, but we
And,
approved that, for
So,
the public safety
Right.
purpose. I did pull the police chief's budget, you know, from his wages that he had started out in 2013 to today, which we budgeted. The full-time officers' budget that we had, the part-time budget, and then of course I took that and did a total amount of money that we spent just on those numbers. And then finally I looked at the cost per call. So from that information, I did some graphs, and it showed that on public safety, I'll just quickly read what these reports were. Public safety since 2013, I didn't have 2013's annual report of what we did on public safety, but in a period of 8 years, we started out at $847,000 that we spent on public safety, and today we're at $1,198,868, which is a 41% increase in 8 years. I did go through, if you go to the next page, the public police department budget, and I ran the reports in those categories where we had the total police department budget, where we started in 2013, a total of $451,000, and today we're at $737,000 in 2022. And I reflected the same for the full-time budget, the full-time police officers' budget. The total police department budget went up 63% in 9 years. The full-time wages went up 60%, and the police chief's wages had gone up 35%, and the part-time budget went up, and I agree, 300%. So you can see that Mel was absolutely correct, where he said we are spending a lot more in percent. But when I looked at the actual dollar amounts in reflection of that, 300% was when we started out on the part-time budget, that was $11,000. Today we spend $32,000. So in 9 years, this one I did it in 9 years, we increased $22,000 of the taxpayers' money we spent on part-time training. So, but if you look at the total dollar amount, let's say, of the police department, when you talk about 63%, which is less than the 300%, you're taking 6-digit figures and doing a 63%, which is a bigger dollar amount. for every 1% that you go up. So, I also looked at the population. The population of our town from 2013 to 2021 went up approximately 2% in 9 years. And the number of calls actually from 2013 to 2021 was actually a decrease of 5%. So if you look at the cost per call, back in 2013, we were at $105 per call it cost the town. But in 2021, we're up to $166 per call, which is a 58% increase in 9 years. I'm not trying to say that I don't agree with this or not. I'm just bringing these figures to us that we can review them, because the fact, like I said, there was nothing in our packets. I didn't know if we were going to have something, so I did the research and brought that to us. My very first question after hearing Mel speak was, one of the things is that the reason why we are looking at a full-time position was can't maintain part-time. It's unsustainable. It's very competitive, and there's incentives out there. So I know in the annual meeting, Mel made a comment that he was extremely proud of what we do for training the new people coming into the police force. And I myself are very proud that we are able to do that. And I think the community relies on the town of Grand Rapids to do that. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I feel or I believe. My question was, when I looked at this, the reports was, are we doing any type of creative incentives like Mel was talking about? Or are we just moving money or throwing money at solving the problem? Are we doing anything like contracts? If we pay or train you for a certain period of time, are we able to do contracts to make sure that they stay on a certain period of time so that we can continue to do this great training program for the community? I know the full-time overtime will go down once someone is trained. I understand that. I think some of the overtime that we might have had with the full-time, and you can correct me, Mel, if I'm wrong, but was that due to any medical leaves at that time too that would have reflect the overtime in the full-time hours?
I'm not quite sure what your question is.
You had made a statement that the full-time overtime will go down. I was just wondering if the full-time overtime that you were talking about, if the overtime that was reflected in your statement, if there was like a medical leave that also occurred to have full-time overtime?
I can best address that. We did have, let me backtrack a little bit. Okay, address some of your questions. What you left out is that the building inspectors line items are also under public safety. Okay, it's not just police department, fire department, it's police department, fire department, and building inspector. So when you're talking about overall public safety, you must include that.
Oh, that's
Okay.
figure it is in there too. I didn't take that.
And then
from my own reports.
one of the other things you had mentioned was calls for service were actually down between, what did you say, 2013 to 2021?
Right.
You got to remember 2020 and 2021, we were in the midst of a COVID.
Right.
And our numbers did drastically drop because they were, Wood County Dispatch was handling a lot of those calls over the phone So we wouldn't have to
Yeah.
send officers
Right.
possibly into a hot zone with COVID-19,
Right.
okay? So, yes, our numbers did drop, so I think a more accurate reflection, you need to look at maybe 2019 and see what our call for service rate,
Okay.
and I do have that, but I didn't print that sheet
Yeah.
out. So that would be a more accurate reflection, because now our numbers, now that COVID is kind of waning here, our numbers are going back up again, and so, you know, the numbers that you're using, I think, are a little askew because of COVID.
Well,
So-
yeah, I'm not saying that I understand what you're saying are skewed, but those are factual numbers, and history
Well, I
will
haven't-
always
whatever you
have.
put together, Patty, I haven't seen either.
Yeah,
So
I just
would like
finished
to-
it last
I would-
night.
I would
Yeah.
like to see those,
Actually,
if you
yeah,
have a
there's a
copy
copy
there,
here too.
So I could review that.
Sure.
But,
But like I said, there was nothing in my packet. I'm one that does research, and I had all those numbers, so I put it together, so I knew what I was, just, working on. So like I said, we did have COVID incidents, but the numbers are factual numbers.
Yeah.
So,
And
we're
that's a
always
good
gonna have
point.
different circumstances in life that will either increase or decrease, so. But I do appreciate everything that you do and your team, and I'm not trying to downplay or anything. What I'm trying to do is bring out the dollar amounts so that we can look at the whole big picture, because we just approved the budget 2 months ago, and I really appreciate you coming up with a solution that if this is approved, that we don't have to jeopardize the budget.
Okay, let me throw a couple other things out there.
Okay.
Wisconsin Rapids currently has at least 2 open positions, and I believe possibly 3. They got 7 applications for full-time positions.
Yeah.
Okay, and my understanding is 2 of those were set aside immediately, okay? There's another smaller agency in Southwood County here that does part-time, and their part-time wage is considerably higher yet than ours at 21. They're at 28. And you talk to that chief, and he says that increase in part-time wages has had little or no standing effect on them being able to recruit and retain part-time staff, even at that higher wage. So that's why, I made the comment that maintaining a part-time staff is just becoming unsustainable. There's another smaller agency that that maintains the part-time staff in our North Central Chiefs of Police Association, and they're experiencing the same thing. They can't recruit, they can't maintain part-time staff to utilize them in whatever manner they do, okay? About the only thing that differs is one department may utilize their part-time staff a little different than what we do, but overall, trying to maintain staff and maintain a part-time staff is just, can't do it.
What is your plan, may I ask, for part-time help going forward, or even the auxiliary?
Auxiliary has no arrest power, so the auxiliary
Okay.
is a non-factor
Yeah.
in this.
You just mentioned cover events, because I didn't know if you were, I know the auxiliary tries to.
They are out there
Yeah.
checking IDs, doing things like that is perfectly suited for the auxiliary, but they have no arrest powers, so for them, filling shifts and going out on patrol or making arrests, they can't do that.
Yeah. So you are still planning on keeping the auxiliary, but are you still planning on also maintaining a part-time department then?
No, I'm
Okay,
doing away
you're
with the
gonna
part-time
totally-
altogether. I
Okay.
made that perfectly clear at the beginning. We're eliminating part-time staff and all those line items that go with it. Uniforms, wages, there's, I'm trying to think what else was on there, but primarily those two things.
Okay.
And just completely going to a full-time staff and using that power car or that floater or however you want to term it, using them then to fill shifts for officers as they go on vacation. And then, of course, when that person, being full-time, would have his vacation, we would have to fill that position to, when they went on vacation or whatever. And we'd be back to our current scheduling the way it is for manpower throughout, the week and weekends.
Mm-hmm. And then I had just one more question. When it comes to different police departments, do full-time officers from other departments, do they pick up hours at other smaller departments?
No.
To, like, moonlighting, I guess
No.
is the term?
No. They can, but with, and we still have technically on our rolls 3 part-time officers that are full-time elsewhere, okay?
Mhm.
2 of those are they're still a probationary period, so they are not allowed to fill shifts for us. 1 is off probation. However, most places, most agencies now, because they are so short-staffed, they are ordering people to do overtime, okay? So individual officers that work for other agencies to work for us part-time doesn't come into play anymore because they're short-staffed, so they need their officers to fill shifts and work overtime for them. They get all the overtime they want, filling shifts for their own department, so why, there's not that incentive to come here and work because they're getting all the overtime they want at their full-time agency.
Yeah, I just didn't know if agencies, I thought years ago they used to, would not allow departments to do work for other departments or do moonlighting or
Some
whatever.
agencies still don't.
They still don't?
Portage County, for example, recently changed their policy. They
Okay.
didn't, but they now do. Wood County, prior to the current administration, didn't allow their officers to work part-time for other agencies. Wisconsin Rapids still doesn't. That may change now with the change in the police chief, but there are agencies out there that still don't allow their officers to work part-time law enforcement positions for other agencies.
Okay.
I have a comment.
Oh, sorry, Bill's first, sorry.
I see there's 2 police and fire commissioners here tonight. Have you met with the police and fire commission at all on this? And I see they haven't had a meeting in almost 2 years.
Not as a whole, but I've met with the chairman, Mr. Donahue, and he was actually at the personnel committee meeting when we had that, and
Don't this usually go through the police and fire commission? Something like this? No?
no.
I thought it did
To
as
fill,
other ones
to
did.
fill it, they would.
Huh?
To fill it, it would.
Pardon?
To fill the position, it
Okay.
would.
I thought you said a village, I guess.
Sorry, to fill the position, it would.
And do police officers still work on Sunday, still get double time?
On Sundays?
Yeah.
No,
No.
they never did.
Oh, I remember one time, I thought they did.
No, they holidays, but not just, they get night shift differential, for working midnights. They get holiday pay for working holidays. And, but as far as working weekends or Sundays, no.
Okay, thank you.
Dan, you had something?
Yeah, I just crunched some numbers just to kind of put into comparison, because I think, although I really appreciate you putting this together, Patty, it's great, that does provide a lot of insight to it. The one thing I just get a little concerned about is looking at, and coming from a law enforcement background my whole career, looking at calls for service and measuring like what a call is. All calls are different. So
Right.
it's a really hard way to look at the utilization, productivity. I mean, there's a broad scope of what there is, and I get it's a gauge and it's something to look at, but one call can vary from being a neighbor dispute, it's going to take 5 minutes to deal with, to a sexual assault of a child that could take, a long time, or homicide or something to that effect. So it's just really a really hard number to pin down, but looking at just population-wise, I just crunched some numbers just to kind of see where we're at in comparison with our neighboring city. And I looked at Marshfield and Rapids' populations. I did get a little deeper into Rapids' population, so on just doing some quick Google searches, I came across the population of right now 17,691 people living in the city. Looking at just some quick, looking at their website, who they have working there, they have 20 full-time officers, 4 lieutenants, 4 sergeants, 5 detectives, a chief, and a deputy chief. So they have 35 total sworn personnel there, with a population of 17,691 people. Their coverage is looking at about 505 people per officer. We're at, in 2021, last population data we have being 7,863 people. Dividing that out with the 5 officers we currently have full-time, we're looking at 1,572 people per officer. So there's definitely, like, when you look at our community versus our neighboring communities and where we're at, the part-timers, I'm not even including them, because, Rapids, they don't have part-timers.
Right. The 5 is actually the full-time officers, but Mel is a working officer, so that number is
So we can go
actually 6. Yeah.
So we look at it as 6. So I
Right.
guess I was going off of the full-time that you had
Right,
listed on
sorry
your
about
sheet.
that, I should have probably pointed that out, sorry about that.
So, just to kind of throw some numbers out there, I mean, we're definitely not, in Marshfield, I know, their population is 18,214 people, we're the 3rd largest community in the county. And Marshfield, I know, has got probably just as much, if not more people than Rapids do, as far as their police department. I can't speak to the exact numbers, but I know that, per call, and I'm gonna say, working here, I used to work for this department for several years, and when I went to the sheriff's department, my call volume got lighter. So, I mean, if you work for a bigger department, there's more people to absorb calls, but they're working pretty hard.
Like I said, I wasn't trying to downplay this at all. These
Yeah.
were just factual numbers that were there, so.
They go to a lot of calls. And I get that. And I totally respect. I really appreciate you putting this together. And it does show that we've really made a lot of investments into our
We
public
have.
safety.
Yep.
And I think that's good.
Yeah.
I'm proud that we are doing that. I don't think it's been a problem. We're manageable. We're definitely not exceeding. We're not, our population to what services we're providing. We have a good police department. I think this board should be very proud of our police department. And I really think that, this is just kind of a way, I agree with this, and I think that by doing this, and I see the issues, I communicate with agencies all over the state, and I've had a lot of conversations with police chiefs talking about, I know an agency that had a hiring process and didn't get any applicants at all, nobody to apply. And they were out trying to find ways to recruit people, and I hope this is not going to be continuing to be a problem. I hope our world is changing, hopefully, and things are going to be, we gotta do something. And there's also, that hasn't really been mentioned also here, and I think looking at it from a liability standpoint, I think I've been a part-time cop, I've been a full-time cop. I'm gonna be honest with you, when I first started working in law enforcement part-time, I didn't have a ton of training. There we go, and I mean, I was probably a liability. Because you just don't know what you're doing. And I think we're doing a lot better job training now than probably we ever have been, and I think that's just an evolution here, and it's obviously showing because people are hiring. our people that are being trained.
Right.
I think we should be proud of that, but we also got to try to keep them here. The contracts things was mentioned, and I don't know if Mel, if you've given that any thought. I don't know if you know much about that, Nick. The contracts, I know that just word of mouth and working in law enforcement for my career, they don't have a tendency to stop people from leaving if that's what they really want to do. And they may pay the municipality back, or they may not. And then we're obligated to then go after them for money. And it's how legally binding are we to holding somebody into something that is changing their livelihood and their ability to prosper. Could be relatively difficult, and Nick might be able to speak more to that. But I know that there's a few officers I know that have been in those. And have left those agencies and not paid those agencies and have had no repercussions. So whether well, the lives.
I'm sorry,
They
but-
sign their agreements and their lives change, and
Yeah.
you know, circumstances change and things change and you know, there's a lot to that. Nick can probably speak more to that, but might not be as easy to argue that you can hold somebody accountable for that.
Yeah, and just the collection process on the backside of that is going to cost money, right, and resources. So, it can be explored if that was something that we wanted to do, and the chief was in favor of doing. But I would agree with you, Andy. I think it's a consideration that would need to be made on whether or not it was really going to be effective at keeping them here.
Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion to approve the Personnel Committee's recommendation to add a full-time police officer position.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Amber, I know you didn't have anything to say. Did you? You
No, I'm good, yep.
Okay. All right, well, hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None opposed?
Thank you. Appreciate that. Town appreciates that.
Yeah, we appreciate you and your team. All right, on to number 11, consideration and approval of donation for the 4th of July fireworks to Teen Fireworks Committee. Good detail on this.
It was supposed to be on last month's agenda, and I just found Lisa's spreadsheet, and it's like, I don't recall what the...
Wasn't it $1,000?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
It's
That's what I
$1,000.
thought it was,
That's
yeah.
what we
I don't-
donate.
I don't
We've always
remember.
done that every year.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to pay no more than $1,000.
I can second.
Bill makes a motion to spend up to $1,000 for a donation for the 4th of July fireworks. Patty makes a second. Any discussion on it?
That was included in our budget, so we budgeted for that.
Okay. Any discussion?
That's going to be held in Wisconsin Rapids, right?
I would assume.
Or on 45th Street, whatever.
Your backyard.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Consideration and possible action on water event permit for the aqua skiers to close Lake Wazeecha for the state water ski show tournament from July 20th to the 24th.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Patty,
Bill got me first.
Bill, second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Consideration and possible action on temporary Class B liquor license for the state water ski show tournament, July 24th, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve their temporary Class B liquor license for the state water ski show.
I'll second.
And Amber, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 14, consideration approval on proposed road projects for 2022. I threw together a quick sheet. This is basically, we did a ride around, was it last month? Been that long ago
Yeah, it has.
already?
Yeah, I think it has.
So this is the main roads that we looked at, and you can see what they are. Sampson Street is actually a share. I've got the full amount in there, but that is a shared one with Port. So we would get some back from that, but you take all those together, And you can see the total road construction and what we had budgeted, so we'd be under budget and take care of everything that we looked at as far as hot spots around the town.
So, I have one question.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very slightly under budget on this? What?
Hey,
what
come
do
on,
you-
we're under.
I know, we're under.
Don't say slightly, you don't have to,
Yeah.
come on.
But is there, wasn't there an entrance to one of the subdivisions that maybe, I don't recall which one that was.
And you're
Do you
talking the one
remember?
off of Griffith?
Yes.
Yeah,
Does-
I don't remember exactly, I can probably drive you to it, but I don't remember.
Right,
what
exactly.
it's-
So
what
I'm
it's
wondering,
called.
do you, if, I don't see that on here, or is it on here?
Breckenridge area, that entrance? Is that on here?
It was the one that the
It
water
might be
constantly stays right in the entrance of it.
Yeah, I think that,
Was
yeah, I
it
think it's Breckenridge, yeah, and I think that Rick and Mike talked about that together and decided
Right.
there would be a bunch of ditching and everything, and.
Yeah, that's the part I was thinking about, if that would take care of the ditching part, to alleviate the water sitting on the road. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I can talk to him about it. Like I said, this Sampson Street is a share, so we're actually under more than what this number shows.
Yeah.
So we'll get some back. It's like a 30 or 35% back from that. So we may have a little bit to play with. I'll have Mike and Rick look at that
Yeah.
and put some numbers together. And if we can do something
Right,
there
if
with
they're
it,
able
still
to-
be under,
Yeah.
we'll go ahead and do it. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
So, any questions on that? Otherwise, I'm gonna have them move forward.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 15, consideration of possible action on the sale of the equipment. So what we have, I'm gonna call it the bread truck, which is the fire department personnel truck that's sitting out here. We have what year's the Charger, Mel? Do you remember? Is that a 2014 or 13?
That's the 2013 Dodge Charger.
2013 Dodge Charger.
Bread.
We have the Tahoe.
Mhm.
I don't know what the year on that one there is, but that was the town vehicle.
2003, I believe.
2003, thank you. So then what we're going to do is the 2015 Explorer that was taken out and replaced with the hybrid. We'll keep that as the new town cruiser, and a radio's been left in it, so that Tahoe is getting fairly rough.
Mhm.
So, as you guys know from riding in it, so we'll put that one down the road. And then the Public Works, we have a dump truck, we have the old tractor backhoe, and then the Trojan end loader. So we have those pieces of equipment
Yeah.
that can go. There's two ways that we can do it. We can line them up out here, put a for sale sign and come up with a dollar amount and see if anybody in the community wants to do it. Or we can take the whole lot and do what we've done in the past, which is, give it to the state oversupply
That
auction
Wisconsin
company.
surplus.
And, yeah, thank you, the surplus
Mhm.
company, and let them go and get what we get out of it.
So, as an example, I know on Wisconsin surplus, you're able to set starting bids.
Reserves,
Yeah.
yep, minimum reserves.
So, like the Charger, I believe, would go quite well, as well as maybe the Tahoe, even though it has some body issues.
Mhm.
I think, just because of the way vehicles are right now, I think they would blue book on that, or higher than normal. I'm not sure about the rescue truck, what that is about. Did Bob happen
That's
to
kind of
mention?
that's kind of a specialty.
Yeah, Bob
My-
didn't give any
No.
feelings on
My
it?
thought was maybe take the two, the Charger and the Tahoe, the two things that a majority of the public might be interested in. Come up with a good price on whatever the blue book value is, put them out here and see if we can sell them. The old end loader, the dump truck, the tractor backhoe, and that troop hauler, bread truck, whatever you wanna call it.
Right.
put those on auction
Surplus.
and, you know, kind of make it easy on, you know, people in the office and whoever else who has to take phone calls on questions and,
Mhm.
you know, it might be kind of a waste of time for, and a lot of that stuff is kind of specialized on what
Right.
people will.
Yeah, I like the idea of going to the auction alone.
Will buy.
With all-
Make sure they got a catalytic converter on there, so.
I mean, the auction, you reach more people, and it does go, people watch that.
Mhm.
Prices have been very high on Wisconsin surplus lately.
Goes with the market, and we're not gonna maybe get any more here.
Plus it'd be less flow for the office right now.
Which is already taxed.
Yeah, I'm open
Do
to,
we-
I'm completely open to either, yeah. I
Yeah,
can
what
see
do
the
we
benefits.
do about setting the starting bids? I mean, how do we approach that? Does anybody
There's a way to
know?
look at the two vehicles, obviously you can just go on Kelly Blue Book and find out what the value of those are.
Mhm.
The bread truck, that's, you might have to look to see if there's another one out there. I mean, that's in good shape, low miles, but it's kind of a specialty thing. The
Right.
equipment, you know, the dump truck, we might be able to get in touch with Titan Machinery or something like that we just bought through and see if they have an idea of what
Yeah.
some of those.
It's just that I wouldn't want the Charger, the Tahoe to be set at 0, you know, and then highest bid.
You're right.
Because I think that would be,
Yeah, you wanna hit a
Not a good
minimum,
thing.
you wanna put a minimum
Right.
reserve, yep.
I'll make a motion. Are we done discussing?
Well, no, there's a discussion period, so you can make your motion.
Okay. I'll make a motion to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those 6 items on Wisconsin surplus, but having the Charger and the Tahoe start out as a,
With a reserve.
yes, thank you.
I'll say.
Andy, second. Any discussion, further discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. We'll go to auction with them then. Consideration and approval of the 2022-2023 liquor licenses.
I don't have to name them all, I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we got Bill motion, Andy second. Discussion.
There are a couple that have not paid yet, is that correct? There's one,
All they have to pay to get to this point is their publication fee.
Oh.
And some of them just pay the whole thing up front.
Okay.
And some hang on to their money till the last call.
less, okay, no pun intended.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you're like a bartender, wait till last call.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You got their liquor license. May disbursement vouchers, any questions? I know Patty, I
Oh,
noticed, I
yeah,
think you missed one.
I missed one.
You had the right amount of meetings, but you
Yep.
didn't fill one in, right?
Correct,
Yep.
the
Okay.
5-3 date or something.
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, the specialty town
Yep.
board meeting.
Okay.
Patty has a change on her.
Not as far as.
Not
this-
as far as the dollar amount,
She
but
has
I
the-
forgot.
The one on the
For
third.
some reason, it
everybody
didn't
was
take
on
the
5-3, so that would have
So
to
you
be
can
added.
just handwrite that
Yeah.
in if you want. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Yep, it's the one on the board.
Okay.
Maybe I took notes.
Number 18, operator license applications. What's that?
Who's reading those?
Yeah.
Oh,
They're all approved. I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
Discussion?
the 1 year and 2 year, correct? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, monthly reports from the committees, Public Works. You got the worksheet that I handed out, that's what we've got going on. We're also working on, as some people are seeing, signing of the ATV, UTV. We are not fully signed, so there is no writing as of now. As soon as those are done, we will let everybody know as fast as we can.
There was a
And,
question in regards to how are we gonna notify?
Well, we'll post the ordinance, post the map, put it on our Facebook page, and then I know that there's a Facebook page out there for the Grand Rapids UTV or
Okay.
whatever. They can push that out. I'm sure word of mouth will run
Oh, yeah.
really fast.
I'm
We'll
sure.
call Bobby there, and I'm sure he gets plenty of questions on when they're gonna go, so.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
We'll get it.
One
out.
question, any idea as to when the signs are coming in, or?
Well, you know, they're mowing, they've got pretty much the interior sign that needs to be signed, and then they're gonna be working on the perimeter as far as every road that comes in with the sign that say the Grand Rapids roads are open unless.
So we don't know if it's gonna be a month or weeks?
It'll as quick as they can,
Okay.
is what they are.
People are asking, so.
Yeah, I know, and I keep telling you they're working as quick as they can, but they're trying to do mowing and they're trying to do other things, and so, but they are.
Rain.
Yeah, rain, it's 90 degrees today. So, okay. Airport Commission, we did have a meeting last Thursday. The airport started out the year, the summer, well above budget on gas sales. Looking to be a pretty busy summer, I think, even with the fuel. Watch the Grand Rapids Facebook page. There are a couple of events that will be held out there this summer, and we'll post them when they do. They like to have people out there, and I think it's a good thing for the town to go out there and see what goes on out there and get to know some of the people out there. Recycling solid waste and water.
I just want to make a comment. I spoke with Dale Marth from Waste Management, and we were talking about trying to do a little bit more education, and I was hoping that when it comes time for this public part, I can do a little educating. One of the main things that they're noticing that causes problem, which in turn causes increasing costs for recycling, is when you recycle, not you, but when a person does recycling, sometimes people are putting their recyclables in a Walmart bag, or they're just bagging it. What they prefer is to actually have a recyclable container that's covered so that if a car goes by or the wind, it doesn't pick up the recyclables and toss them out in the ditch. But to just put the recyclables separately in the recyclable bin so that when they go to dump them, they're not contained in a bag. Because what happens is the Walmart bags, the trash can bags get caught up in the conveyors. And so that causes their conveyors to stop, which then they have to pull that bag out. So it just incurs cost to them, which, if it costs them more to recycle, it'll cost us more to recycle. So if we can just maybe do a better job of just putting the individual recyclables in a big recyclable bag, container, and not in a Walmart bag or a garbage bag, so that's all I have.
Do we have another newsletter or anything that's going on?
It just went out.
What's that?
Not
No.
the taxing.
Yes, we just missed it. I was gonna say, we could have got something from
Yeah.
them explaining it and put it out on there. But if they could get us something, we could,
Right.
put it out on our Facebook page, whatever, our website, as far as procedures for recycling. And this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Exactly.
I mean, it makes sense,
And so
but.
it's an educational thing, and as recycling evolves, different things, different problems come up, different suggestions, you need to evolve.
Mhm.
So, he and I just spoke about, I would take the opportunity to bring it out at our meeting here, and then we'll start having the helpful tips of recycling, or that we'll put on the website, and then people can just refer to them and read the helpful hints. But I did have two, I don't want to call them issues, but concerns from residents, and they were very promptly resolved with waste management, and the residents were quite happy, so that's about it for that.
Thank you. Planning Commission?
We met last night, and we approved this evening's zoning and comprehensive plan change with Mr. Weir. We had 2 chicken permits, and then we also had 2 new businesses start up in the town, and we're in the process of reviewing our zoning ordinance number 52 in regards of zoning. You know, we're just discussing the residential, the permitted and conditional uses of that. In our next meeting, we're going to discuss the permitted and conditional uses for the commercial district, and I think that was about it for some.
Okay. Public Buildings?
We didn't meet.
Legislative, we did not meet. Public Safety?
We're reading tomorrow night.
Economic Development?
Same meeting
thing,
tomorrow
right?
night, yep.
Personnel?
Nothing in addition.
WTA?
We had a meeting on May 20th, 2022, in the town of Dexter. Chad Schooley from the Wood County Parks Department gave a presentation about the proposed expansion of Powers Club, thinking of putting in snow removal equipment, snow equipment, and also bike trails there. And then Steve Dickerson, who is the WTA director, talked about the upcoming convention in October. And of course, there was no legislators there. They were at their annual conference or nominations. So the next meeting, of course, here is June 17th at the town of Grand Rapids at the fire station. So it starts at 6:30 with the meal, and then 7 o'clock, and the speaker will be Shane. I don't dare try to pronounce his last name, but he's from Land and Water Conservation, and he'll be talking about wells and water in town of Grand Rapids and the county. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay. Reports from individual town board members. Bill, stay with you, anything?
Yeah, I mean, just like tonight's meeting, I would like to see copies of the minutes of that meeting. And when we talked about the increase in police officer here, it would have been nice if we'd had minutes and what was discussed at that. You know, that would be just part of the packet, and we could discuss, you know, some of that stuff was probably answered in it. Same way with any other committee report. Just have your minutes for your last meeting in the packet.
Well, it's not approved.
Well, we have the same thing on the county board, that's what we do. And if somebody made a motion in a committee meeting and nobody on the county board said anything, that motion passes. And what it is, it's not the approved minutes.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Eddie?
No, thank you.
Andy?
Just a couple things. Just to report back on the ambulance board, we met on June 9th for the biannual meeting. They gave an update on just kind of the last quarter, fourth quarter, and first quarter 2022 update. Gary had done that from United Ambulance. Just shared a couple things. He said that heroin overdoses are definitely something they're still seeing, not as much with methamphetamine, which was previously reported at one of their last board meetings. Another thing they talked about was the lift assist and the false pendant pushes for the medical alerts. They've gotten several of them, and they're really almost, they consider that being something that maybe is even somewhat abused. They have one residence, not in our town, but in their service area, that has called them 27 times in the past 2 years, or 2.5 years, to have just a lift assist. They go there and they leave, and it ties up the service, and then they get another call that comes in that's an emergency and something pretty significant, medical emergency, and they're tied up on something else with a lift assist that really wouldn't have been needed. The medical pendants, they recommended that we share with people that if they have like the medical pendant, that they have maybe that first call go to a family member instead of right to 911 right away, because a lot of times they're false alarms and they're not necessarily needed to respond. They are considering and looking at charging people for these. in the future, due to the fact that it's creating such a burden on the service to do that. And that's something they're trying to mediate, and they're trying really hard before they do that to educate people that, you know, the ambulance service isn't always necessarily the first call for those things, and if they have family and friends that can come do that, it's very helpful because they have other emergencies that they're needed for, and it's creating an issue for their service. So that was pretty much about it. And then secondly, I noticed there's a public comment about an email. I never received an email from you, so I'm not sure. I'll have to do some digging into why I'm not getting that, or double check with you as to why I'm not didn't get that email, but I didn't get an email. So I apologize for not responding to an email, but I didn't get anything. So.
Okay. Oh.
No, that wasn't you. That was her. Yeah. She had,
Oh, that was you.
I get emails from you. Yeah. I get emails from Mel, but I just didn't get anything. So
Thank you. I sent it to info@list whatever a couple of days ago, and then about 3 weeks ago, I sent it to each individual address that was listed on the town website.
Okay. And I'll have to do some checking on that. I never got anything, so but just want to let you know that. So I don't have anything else.
Thank you. Amber?
That was my only comment too, was when, I know we got the email twice, and then brought up tonight too, like when she gets the answers to her questions.
I'm sorry, Amber, I couldn't hear what you said.
I was just asking like when you would get the answers to your questions, like what would be, if it's the committee meeting, or like what would be the appropriate, so that, just so she's not sitting there hanging on her questions.
Yeah, be a committee meeting.
Committee.
And when would that be? Is that the water committee?
Yeah.
And they haven't met since the 23rd of March. I was just wondering if when there's a lot of water issues out there, if everybody's interested, we'd like to know when that might happen.
It'll be posted when it happens. And I don't have anything except nice job tonight, Jewel.
Guess I'll come back next month.
Well, we'll see the minutes.
You'll feel what?
We'll see the minutes first.
Well, I've been doing those.
Yeah.
That's true.
Public input. People wishing to address the board will be limited to 2 minutes each, with public input limited to a total of 16 minutes. Anybody out there have comments? Yes, sir.
I would just like to thank the board for approving another full-time police position here in lieu of the part-time. That we've had a really tough time as a police and fire commission to try and staff. So I know we'll be taxed with the burden of trying to find another police officer, which won't be easy, but we'll get it done. Right, Butch?
That's right.
Okay. And, but I want to thank you for that. I think it's really good foresight for the town. And I don't think the town gets to be ranked as one of the safest cities in Wisconsin by mistake. I think that a lot of that goes to the leadership that we have in all aspects of the town, and especially on the police side of it. So kudos to them, and all of you, of course, for making good decisions, because you're the ones that make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have a comment? Yes, sir.
Back to number 9.
You put your, say your name.
Oh, yeah,
for the
Jason
camera.
Whitaker again, 6421 Batavia. Back to number 9, the fence company, they had a clause that said that the town's supposed to market. I would double check that. I would agree that to market with white paint or flags, to have them create the ticket. Otherwise, if you create the ticket and they hit a utility, it's on you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Shirley Clapper, also number 9. So the last time there was a meeting on this particular thing with the trail, it was back in September of 2021. Now, at that time, it was bantered around about $110,000 to get this trail completed. Now, I haven't heard at any town board meeting a proposal for a cost for this trail, or whether the trail was going to go through, or any of that. And yet, you agreed to spend $5,250 for this fence. It seems like you got the cart in front of the horse. I mean, it seems like this should be coming before the town board to get an approval of this. So, you know, like I said, at the September meeting, it was bantered around for $110,000. So, I don't know where you're gonna, the seed committee, that was $15,000. I haven't ever heard of the town was gonna try to complete this trail for $15,000. or what? So, doesn't seem like a good thing to do, in my opinion, about spending money when you haven't even approved the trail or how much you're gonna budget for this trail.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Art Bangor, 6610 Acadia Avenue. Are the video recordings part of the town's official record of the meeting, or not? Does anybody know?
Yeah, the minutes would be, and there's audio, but I believe the videos are uploaded to the website for is it Wisconsin Public Media, or?
Yeah, I
It's
know
on
they're available
YouTube,
online. I understand they're available online. I just wondered if they are part of the official record. If they're not part of the official record of the town, I would respectfully request that when the minutes for this meeting are prepared, they reflect the fact that we have brought up the Edgewood Acres subdivision at this meeting tonight, so that it's a complete and accurate representation of public comments and any other public comments that we make.
It is all recorded too. We also
And that's
audio.
part of the record? then?
Yes.
Good, thank you.
Keith?
So, Keith Lukey, 6511 Batavia Avenue. Who keeps track of the Public Works Department daily log of what those guys do on the township? Who's in charge of recording hour by hour, day by day, what projects the town crew does? Is there anybody got control of that, or is it just a hit or miss thing?
It's comment, Keith. Can't answer.
Pardon me?
This is public comment. You can make a public comment, but I can't give you an
That's my
answer.
comment.
Okay.
If there's not anybody doing it, maybe it's a good idea. Where are we at with the rundown on the 2 mile and the DNR being involved in cleaning that up? Another comment. Somebody take a look at it, please. Where are we at with the ARPA funds? Somebody take a look at that, please. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I got one more comment.
Yes, sir.
Give your name now.
Tom Wire, 3020 Lake Avenue. When we had all that water problem last fall, I had a little bit of water problem too. And I came in and discussed it after the meeting because I didn't want to be in a so-called bitch session and kind of thought that's what it was going to be, and I didn't want to be part of that. So I kind of wanted to let everything calm down. Well, my comment is, when I came in, I discussed on 32nd and Lake Avenue, there's some man-made waterways there that were made from our ancestors years ago. And there's trees laying down in them everywhere. And that's just not there. It's all over the township. Over the years, we've had all these destruction storms and everything, and they're filled up. Now, when I came in here, I talked to Peggy, and I think Jewel was standing there, but I'm not sure. My comment to them was, it doesn't take a scientist that they plan on hiring, an engineer to come in and fix that problem, to clean out what our ancestors created to solve the problem. Now you look down the road, a blind man can see it, it stares you in the face, we have a problem. Now we have flooding problems. Yup. And nothing's being done. We have to call in an engineer to figure this out.
Thank you. Anybody else? Thank you. Future
Did I
agenda.
spend my 2 minutes yet?
Yes.
What about the Lampert and Lee report? Take a look at that too, please.
Anything else, Keith? Good?
I'm done. I'm tired.
Thank you.
Ready.
Future agenda items. Anybody? Okay. Make a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Have a motion, Andy, second. All in favor?
Aye.